Crystal Noel, welcome to the latest Fearless in Devotion. It's a special week in the lives of Wrexham fans with the new documentary dropping finally. So we've all seen it. We're even in it. Well, me and you are, Tim. That was a bit of a surprise. Anyway, we'll get to that. Let's do this a bit more chronologically. First off, thanks to the Fat Boar for sponsoring us each and every week. See, I'm so sort of rocked by Hollywood that I can't even speak properly. Yeah, I just finished watching it about 45 minutes ago. Me and Amber watched it. Overall, I thought it was pretty good, a pretty solid sort of entry into the next season. A few things sort of jarred a little bit with me. I mean, the timeline seemed to be all over the place. Firstly, let's take it from the top. What did you think of the theme music? I mean, I'll be honest. When they first came in with the series last season, I loved the Times Are Changing. I wasn't too keen on the Buddy Holly song. Where does this sit for you, Tim?
I missed a bit of that then because you froze and I couldn't decide if that was my laptop or your laptop. But
Liam, can you decide this for us? Who froze? Was it me or Tim?
I don't know. You're both coming through loud and clear to me. The internet here and you brought me is sparkling tonight.
Anyway,
I think
we have our answer.
You're on about the intro music.
We've got our answer. We've got our answer. It's you, Tim. The internet in Guersel. The internet in Guersel.
I'm fine, but everybody else seems to be freezing. But anyway, I'm guessing you're on about the music.
Yeah.
I don't know. It is. I tried to figure out who it was via the lyrics before, but I couldn't figure out who it was. So can you tell me who it is?
No, I don't know. But what was your overall sort of feel of it?
I'm honest. Music's just music, as far as I'm concerned. I'm surprised they changed it. I'm not. It was. I mean, obviously the setup was already there in terms of, the whole King visit to begin with before the opening titles rolled. Yeah, I to be honest, if we're going to sort of stay with the music theme for a minute, I enjoyed the soundtrack generally that was running throughout it. I managed to learn that there was a random hip hop track on it that I'd never heard before, but it's not available on Spotify. I can't remember who it is now. MC who was it? I can't remember now, but that was pretty good. But yeah, less of the music, more about the content, I think. So let's dive headlong into that, shall we?
Well, first off, there was lots of swearing from the off. Liam, as a family man, did that offend you? Are you offended? You look offended.
I like a good F and a good blind, really. And I think when it comes to things like Parky's enthusiasm, people seem to have quite taken to that. My wife was laughing along as the tally topped up. So no, I think it was effing great. More swearing.
The other thing that's quite evident from the off is there's a lot of I'm going to carry on with the swearing. I'm sorry for everyone. There was a lot of effing about if we don't go up, we are FUCKED. Is that over egging it a little bit? I don't think that those lads would have got that club into a position where if we didn't go up, we'd have been screwed. You think that's just a bit of poetic license, Tim?
Yeah, I mean, I'm sitting like a geek with like 2 pages worth of notes, and that is on there about us not being sustainable and us being fucked if we don't go up. It's all really well saying that. Explains just why. The local fans as well as international fans explain why that would be the case. But yeah, I think there might be a bit of poetic license. It definitely wouldn't have been the out and out disaster that it kind of alludes to. But obviously wouldn't have been ideal. But it's by the by, no spoilers for anybody.
Well, yeah, they can say stuff like that, can't they? Because we did go up.
Yeah, it's easy to say that now. Yeah, and it'd be interesting to see when they actually recorded that.
Yeah, I mean, yeah, it did flitter out with the timeline a little bit. So just for, I mean, if you're an American or new to it watching it, and you're going to go, oh well, the cop got demolished this episode, and then you're going to be like watching match highlights for the next couple of episodes, going, why is that cop still there? So yeah, I mean, the cop didn't get demolished until later on in the season. The King didn't come till December, I don't think. But this match and action wise, this centered around the first week the season, which we are obviously Eastleigh and Chesterfield. I love the bit with Leighton. The stuff like that is the bits I really like, because they're behind the scenes stuff where you get to see a bit of personality of the players that we don't get anywhere else. I think that sort of bit really worked for me, and I thought, and Aidan Davison came across well. I think the whole bits with the keeper situation, introducing Mark Howard, that was one of the highlights for me. That worked really well. Although bloody hell, I forgot how bad Howard was from that long throw. That did not show up well at all, did it? What was he doing?
Was that physio session? Was it a physio session with what's his name, Rob Langton, or was it a torture session in Iraq or somewhere like that? Because there's one moment.
I know what you're going to say. Because I've already got this written down.
Was it when they were running that? What was it they were running over his arm?
Shatterproof ruler.
I can only assume that Ryan Murray, the sports therapist that was helping Leno with his treatment, slathers a fair bit of honey and jam on his toast of a morning, because it looks like he's running a butter knife up and down poor Rob's wrist, and because he said something about generating friction, and we just, supposed to the layman, you think, right, he's injured his wrist again. It's going to be fairly basic physiotherapy, so you really get an idea of how intense and how in depth that they go to really try and get him back up and running, and long term, because he goes on to say that he's only got a short time frame to prove himself. As and when he gets back fit, we know that's kind of not panned out great at the moment for him. But I thought the keeper thing was an interesting character arc, because it's kind of extended from the Dibble thing last year, and it's kind of nice that Howard has gone on to say, keepers do make mistakes, and obviously he sort of dropped that initial clanger against Eastleigh. Then there's another clanger in that game against Chesterfield, but it's really great that as this has gone to air, he's back in the team and he's doing really well. So I like that kind of full circle moment to it.
Yeah, I do, and you know what? I don't want to get. This doesn't need to delve into another debate about Howard, but it sort of shows how vital it is for a keeper to start well, and Mark Howard didn't start well. But you're right. He's got a redemption. He's back in the team. He's doing well. So there is sort of a happy ending to this. What did you think about Ryan and Rob's etiquette training, Liam, as a man who loves all things monarchy?
Well, can I just shock you about the royal element and say, I think that could have served as an entire episode. I was surprised that we didn't see the more personal angle, which was Ollie Palmer's dad working for Prince Charles. Because I remember at the time, I genuinely thought that was quite an interesting little story, and I'm surprised they didn't link up with that more. But generally speaking, like the etiquette bit, I think it serves more to the general audience maybe than to the Wrexham fan. It was quite funny, but did I need it in there? Not necessarily, but I would have actually watched a whole episode on that royal visit, because whilst I might not be a royalist, I find all the little formalities and mechanizations of that quite interesting. I do wonder though, would sort of the royal PR machine have had a final say on what was included?
Yeah, I think there is a little bit of that. I thought it was very low key. Actually, it was quite played down, as played down as where Rob McElhenney seemed to be staying for the night. He's staying in the beaches.
No, it was in the Premier Inn opposite. In the Premier Inn opposite the beaches. Amazing.
Did he go in Charlie Chalk's fun factory where
he's
you
in
had
there
to be?
Now, mate. He's in the ball pit.
If you were taller than the banana, though, you couldn't go in. Would you be taller than the banana?
You got to remember the Premier Inn backs off onto Collier's Park, so you could have been having a poke around there as well and a little look around. Who knows?
He seemed like a guy who just got up. He'd had a very hearty breakfast with 5 elements, including black pudding, and he was ready to attack the day. I think he'd been staying there, and good on him. Good on him. It's Tim, go over there, review it, ask for the McElhenney suite.
I'll try. I mean, Rob had a wonderful coat that he wore as he got into his little.
He did. I love that. I love that outfit.
Yeah, lovely. I thought the King's visit thing, it was obviously the theme that the entire episode centered around, starting and going back to it. I thought it was handled pretty well. It wasn't too over the top, like you said. I think Liam's point about Ollie Palmer's dad being Royal Protection Officer, that may well come back into it, because I know Palmer's quoted at the start saying, what's going on, King's visit, blah, blah, and we see the King and Ollie Palmer having a little chit chat. So they may well revisit it. That might not be the end we see of it. I don't know.
Do you think,
Tim, I like the whole King.
Sorry, mate. Do you think they sort of swapped time around a little bit because they wanted to start big? They wanted to start big with the King. I think
so. I think so. I mean, I'm a bit like Liam. I'm not, I'm not massively into the royal family thing and all that sort of stuff. But it would have been absolutely insane for the producers not to have included this, because we all know that quite a lot of Americans love the royal family. They love what it stands for and all that sort of stuff. So that aspect appeals straight away to the wider audience, and I get that. I like the fact they address him as the King of England. Nothing more, nothing less.
I picked up on that. I picked up on that.
How they never, I suppose we now know why, because to extend out the two pumps and release into a sexual double entendre during a piece about the monarchy would have been slightly outrageous, no doubt. So I thought that was quite funny. And I liked what Rob said when I think Ryan said, it's the structure that's bothering him. Rob said, well, no, it's the idea of bowing to somebody that he finds quite odd. I get that. And for anybody who wants to do a Rob McElhenney flag, I might even do this myself. That quote, "I don't stand, I rise." Jesus Christ. Strong quote. Even just said it for fun and shits and giggles with the cracker. Love that. I just thought they handled it really well, because they could have gone well overboard with it and done the whole sort of brown nosing episode. What's the point? We know how it played out.
Well, we know at the end it was ultimately futile.
Well, yeah, it was. It was. And that was kind of weird, that leveling up funding conference call with Sean Harvey, Humphrey in character on set for his American also, I think, probably.
Yeah, it was, yeah.
And Rob and Ryan, and even Sean Harvey showed a bit more character than what we would normally see. Sort of just a hard-nosed sort of football administrator person. It was like, yeah, let me take the brunt of it. You guys are cheering me up, and we will by hook or by crook get it one way or another.
Amber said, when Amber was watching that scene, she said, "Oh, that fella in the bottom left, he's got a very kind face."
Who's this?
Amazing.
Amber.
Who was she talking about?
Oh, Mr. Harvey.
Sean Harvey.
No
Sean
comment.
Kind-faced
No
Harvey.
comment. I did think it was great though when
he on the pod now.
He was slightly,
Sean, if you're listening.
He was slightly annoyed though about the fact that he learnt via a media outlet, which I'm led to believe is a certain hyperlocal Wrexham news website, that he found out about the levelling up bid via. So he won't have been best pleased about that either.
Definitely wasn't us.
Just one other thing about the episode. It's good that Phil Salmon had a bit of time on it. I mean, obviously we all know Phil, the amount of time and money he's put into the club. It's good that they're sort of showing that side of it, plus Nightingale House, sort of slowly introducing all the good work we do around Wrexham, which I know is going to ramp up in the next couple of episodes. Towards the end, we made an appearance. I can't remember saying that. I called them those Derbyshire fellows. Wow,
you stopped short of describing them something very, very different. And
that was my prediction.
I love to shove it up those Derbyshire fellows.
Do you reckon they dubbed me? I'm gonna have to go back and listen to that.
They definitely did not dub you. No, I remember at the time you thought twice. I was like, he's going to go big here.
Can I mention though that there was a split-second video footage of me down Overton Arcade on promotion night?
I mean, this is meta on meta, isn't it? Because if they're taking bits for this podcast from the documentary, but we're talking about the documentary, it's warping my mind. We could be talking about a documentary while being on a documentary, talking about a documentary.
Stop now. Stop. Let's go.
Okay.
I also had a family member on the episode. My auntie was in the club shop buying something and talking about shirts and jackets and bumping into people in Wrexham gear. Yeah, people bumping into Wrexham people in Wrexham gear in the park or something. So yeah, that's a claim to fame.
Ultimately, okay. I know we've cross-examined the episode, but ultimately it's a setup, isn't it? It's a setup for the season ahead. Essentially, what it is. We're going to have a bit of Elliot Lee in there. They've already focused on him as one of the key players and what he brings to the table. And yeah, I just thought, I think there was a certain degree of transparency with it, in terms of like Humphrey was going, well, we're going to have the highest playing budget, we're going to have the highest wages, obviously, and it's stating the obvious. We don't have to say that. We could just turn a blind eye to it and just let everybody else deduce that that's going to be the case. But to go out and just say, well, it's pretty obvious we have, you could be seen as making a rod for your own back, but we're there to be shot at, and those are the facts, aren't they? Really, but
I wonder if last season we were sort of setting ourselves up as the underdog, the plucky underdog, and and people know that's not the case. I wonder if they're setting Notts County up as a bit of an underdog for this season, because what they did achieve, I know they've got a big budget, but they didn't spend as much as we did. So I wonder if that's sort of sowing the seeds there a little bit. Liam, overall, we need to rate this episode, and me and you came up with a rating system earlier, didn't we? So, what? Yeah, we text, and you're not involved.
Fuck it out. Thanks a lot. I'm excluded. Does that mean I'm vetoed from this vote?
No, you can vote. So the rating system is as follows: a Craig Skinner is a below average, a Jim Whitley is straight down the line, and then you get a Carl Connolly for legendary status. So where are you putting this one, Liam? Is it a Skinner, a Whitley, or a Connolly?
I'm gonna go straight down the line and say Jim Whitley. I'll admit, when I first watched it, the non-linear narrative really jarred with me, just because we were jumping from August to December, August to January. But I'm slightly over that. How much reality is there in time? Is it time for me to shut up?
You're questioning sort of life and the bigger questions now, are you?
Yeah, is it time for me to shut up? Most probably. But no, I thought it pulled at a few decent strands, but I thought it was more of a pace setter just for the start of things to come. And I think there'll be better episodes along the way, but it wasn't completely terrible. So Super Jim Whitley, yeah.
Tim, Skinner, Whitley, or Connolly?
What are you calling this rating system before I give you my answer? You can't just drop that on me and not have a name for it.
We're calling it the Craig Skinner Remembrance. He's not dead, but the Craig Skinner Remembrance Scale. That's what we're calling it.
You're gonna have to come up with something better. If for some bizarre reason you are tuning into this episode, you can come up with a better name for this aberration of a rating system that these two have just come up with, please let us know. Tweet us and all that sort of jazz. Right, okay. So in answer, I think you're throwing a bit of shade on Craig Skinner, because we all know he had one of the finest haircuts ever to play for Wrexham FC. If you're into your indie stuff, it's a banger. It's still a bit of a mullet.
Are you saying it's all style and no substance then?
No, I'm not saying that. I knew you were going to say that then. I'm going to say very much that this episode was a safe episode, a stabilizing episode, pretty much like Jim Whitley, the player. So I too am going to go with Jim Whitley for that ranking.
I'm going to go with Whitley, but I'm going to go with 2002-2003 promotion Jim Whitley. So
oh, here we go.
Slightly better than your average Whitley. Look, I think it would have been perfect if they'd have dropped that episode and maybe another one with it, and then you could have got into it a little bit more. And I think that would have been perfect for me. I think the other thing that I think the other thing is, like, we as Wrexham fans know the timeline, but I think a lot of our American friends who have really bought into this know the timeline as well now. So I think they should be aware of that a little bit. But look, stuff like that didn't bother me that much. It was.
Do they know who Craig Skinner is? Our American fans, actually, that's one thing that did occur to me with our rating system.
And Jim Whitley and Carl Connolly, has to be said. Three people we never have, no one never will get on this pod. By the sounds of it now.
I don't think I was ever more upset than Jim Whitley. Sorry, not Jim Whitley. He was fine. Than with Craig Skinner, because we paid 60 grand for him. He looked the part, and I thought he was going to be amazing, and he just let me down every turn. I was a little bit underwhelmed by Craig Skinner. So it's underwhelmed. Oh, hang on, Amber's trying to sneak past. Underwhelmed, absolutely straight down the line, and absolutely amazed. So Carl Connolly, because he came from nowhere and became one of our legends, he's pretty much untouchable. My favourite ever Wrexham player, and I won't have anything said to the contrary on that.
Are you ready for some fan comments?
Yes,
about
of course we are.
1, season 2, episode 1. So stuck a little tweet out earlier on about what people thought of the first episode of the second season. Wrexham fan, can't wait for more. PS, nice cameo from Fearless ID Zine. Thank you very much. I'm going to come to Wrexham Boy in a minute.
Derbyshire fellows.
Up your Derbyshire fellows, yeah. Michael, lots of necessary setup. Got the Royals out of the way. Thumbs up from me. Jay Bailey, overall episode 1 was a bit of a housekeeping episode. Recap, catch up with a few last season's personalities. Get the royal visit and Tory housery out of the way. Nice new segments with AC and Robbo. Even better episodes are coming soon. As we've alluded to with the timeline, Luke Perry's put a bit odd that they start with the King and overseas fans, considering these things happen mid-season. I was expecting they start small and build as the Americans built into the season. It was pretty good though. Baltimore Wrexham. One episode isn't enough to really rate it. Will be better with a 3-episode arc. Enjoyed the AAC segment. Not enough time with new players. King part was fine. Note the King is in an episode whose purpose is to communicate disappointment. King of England, not Wales. Thumbs up. 10 out of 10. Funny heartwarming. Can't wait for the next one, says John Halton. I'm going to come back to Wrexham Boy. Unpopular opinion, but to be honest, I'm not really a fan of the documentary. I wanted it to have more behind the scenes footage of the club and team. I couldn't care less about the local people. I couldn't care less about the local people's lives that are getting interviewed. The first series was the same. Obviously, that's prompted some debate, including from myself and a few others. Wrexham Boy goes on to say, I far more enjoyed the Amazon series of documentaries, the Man City one, the Spurs one, etc. Seeing how a club is run from the inside, I couldn't care about the local people. I'm a season ticket holder, have been for years. I'm not local, but my interest is football, not people. And then I'll just do one more from him. That's where we differ in opinions. I want to know things like how Mullin was persuaded to sign, as his name is mentioned in an episode, and then suddenly he was a player, but nothing in between. I don't want to know about Bob in the Butchers. So Wrexham Boy, I mean, like I said, it's a game of opinions, and we fully appreciate that.
Wrexham Boy says, take your mad for movies and shove it up your ass.
Let's shove it up your Derbyshire fellows, it would seem. So yeah, Wrexham Boys had a bit of a kickback from that, from other people, kind of disagree, not strongly disagree, but disagree nevertheless. It is for some people.
I mean, if I'm being absolutely honest, that's what I want from the documentary as well. But it's not aimed at me. It's aimed at painting a picture of what a town and a football club, how they work together and how they're intrinsically linked in a way that isn't really in American sport. So that is the purpose of this documentary, and it does that very well. Look, if it was just for me, it would be an all or nothing deep dive into every part of behind the scenes of the club, because that's what I don't know and that's what I want to know. But I understand it's what it's here for, and it's raising our profile as a town and a club. So I've got no complaints with how they're doing it. Liam, what do you think?
With that, we've just found out that Wrexham Boy BOY is Andy Gilpin's burner account.
I'm not that thoughtful about it.
The only thing I would have liked to see more on the football inside is I'm always interested in in the transfer window, and if we're talking about the one that's just been, as in where we had the whole Luke Armstrong episode, I think there's a lot of interesting mechanizations of how transfers work, which for me as a football fan would be good to see. I would like to have seen how Elliot Lee was persuaded to drop a few leagues, for example. I think the way he played in that first Eastleigh game, there would have been a decent arc there. But then like you say, I appreciate that that's not necessarily what the documentary is all about. And in fact, that's what quite a lot of non-sports fans like about the documentary, is that it isn't just about football. So for me, maybe a bit more, but I understand why.
Yeah, absolutely. Amber sat there and watched it, and she's been to Wrexham games, but she's not a massive fan of football. In fact, she told me earlier this season she's never going to another football game again because she finds them boring. But
unless Sean Kindface Harvey is in there's team present.
Yeah, the housewife's choice, Sean Harvey.
Put that on a flag.
But look, it does paint a picture of not just football, and I think it is attracting fans because of that. And great if they can get non-football fans interested in it because it paints a story of not just what happens on and off the field. I'm all for that. I really am.
Can we also just make notable nods to Dixie McNeil, how well he looks? Good to see here and there. Also Neil Roberts. It's a shame they couldn't sort of tidy up that pixelated footage. It looked like it was filmed on a potato of one of his goals. Either that or get him to recreate it in full kit.
What, Phoenix and the Flames?
Yeah, something. I don't know. It'll be nice because obviously we're going to see and hear more of him. I'm guessing probably with Mia as well, his daughter, who played for the women's team. But yeah, overall, it's a firm Jim Whitley by the sounds of it.
Yeah, good. Right, let's move on to other business. Was anyone at the Grimsby game? Liam, you were there. I mean, I watched it. I was working, but I watched it. Well, no one was at the Grimsby game. We ain't played them yet.
Wow, Andy's timeline's all over the place. Where did he get this idea from?
The non-linear narrative.
I've got something in my ear from the directors. Talk about Tranmere at home.
Tranmere at home.
Yeah,
I didn't even got that right.
Right. Basically, Liam, were you the only one there at the Doncaster game? I watched it. Tim, were you on your way to Riga?
I was on my way to Riga, but I watched it at Dublin Airport, and it kept on having the spinning wheel of death. So Dublin Airport Wi-Fi, it just isn't that good. But yeah, I got to see the most crucial bits. So apart from I missed their goal, but I got to see it back, obviously.
Yeah.
Guess what?
Right. Before we sort of dive into it, I've got a Dundee United supporting mate, and this is what he thinks of Stephen Fletcher. He's still very fit and wins everything in the air. We played him with no striking partner, which meant his contribution was limited by that. But he should bag a few more for you if you sort of play to his strengths more. And I was really impressed by his cameo. How hard was that shot? I thought if it had hit someone in the crowd, bloody hell, it would have been air ambulance time. It was he seemed okay considering I don't really know what his pre-season's been like, but he seemed to have kept himself pretty trim. I know it's only 20 minutes, but you might sort of be thinking this could be a bit of a coup. This, what do you reckon, Liam? You saw him up close.
No, I'm going to shock you now. You didn't let me say where I was. I was in a caravan in Morvenbucken.
Oh,
so
absolutely. No one was here.
Are you still there? Because it looks like you're lying on your bed, just chilling.
I am in my bed, just chilling. But so any information call me. Any information I've gleaned is purely just from watching the highlights. But I saw enough from the highlights to know that he looked sharp as a tack for a player who is 36 and who a lot of fans sort of jumped the gun a bit on, really. And would have rather seen Luke Armstrong for 500k, which I put a big question mark over because he looks like, even though he hasn't had a pre-season, he looked really sharp. And people were saying, will he have pace? That didn't look to be an issue to me. He didn't look like a lumbering sort of striker. And I'm not going to jump ahead on either side, but I'm hopeful that Parky's pulled this out of the bag here by getting a decent pedigree of striker who's still got it. So yeah, I'm hopeful.
Tim, do you think what do you think the long-term strike partnership is? Is it still Palmer and Mullin?
Yeah, I think it is, and I think when you get somebody like Fletcher in, he looks like the sort of second in command of a biker gang. You get somebody like him, he comes in, it keeps Palmer on his toes.
Why is he not in command of that biker gang, Tim?
I don't see him being in command of it. I think he kind of was in command of it, and now he's happy to be in number 2. He's at that point in his life, so I think, and that extends to being a sort of backup there to Palmer. But even if, I mean,
is Palmer in command of this biker gang?
Well, let's cut to the chase. Right? Somebody stated that how many goals Palmer scored, how many games, and the ratio's not great at the moment. Fine, but he's been pretty decent so far this season. Seems like a bit more like he's got a bit of his mojo back. We know, obviously, Mullin came on in that game. we know he's way off it yet. Give everybody a boost and a lift. He's still a handful. He's still a pain in the ass. He still harasses defenders. He's for me, he's probably maybe 65-70% where he needs to be at the moment. You know, he's a bit off it, I think, but that'll come good. And I think if you bring somebody in like Fletcher, I think it might be a blessing in disguise. I genuinely do. £500,000 for Armstrong. I've seen his goals that he scored. Even now, to me, £500,000 for a League Two striker seems quite a lot. To be honest, it's sad that it didn't happen for him because I know they had a bit of a crap week. The Armstrongs, obviously, his dad Alan got the sack at Darlington as well, so a bit of a crap week all round for them. However, backup plans is what Parky's pretty decent at as well, and Fletcher just looked a pain in the ass, horrible. You know, and if worst case scenario you choose to bring Mullin back gradually again off the bench, imagine Palmer and Fletcher just battering Rams. Horrible. You're going to need pace in and around those, sure. And whether he goes with
tell you
three,
what,
I don't know.
Barnett would love putting crosses into those two, wouldn't he?
Yeah, and Barnett's just consistently good, isn't he? What he does, byline cross, byline cross. But the crosses are high quality.
Yeah,
they always go where they're supposed to go.
Yeah. Just a quick word on McAlinden, who I know got a few pelters. Look, that fella has hardly played in the last 6 or 7 months. It's hard to come in and, you know, play a position that you weren't brought in for, but you can play. So, you know, I think we're all a little bit surprised he got the nod in the squad above McFadden, but he does fill a couple of roles, and I can sort of see what Parkinson's sort of thinking is there. And I think it was a bit hard for everyone to sort of really go in on him because he's an honest lad. Maybe if that was his 5th game in a row, that would have been a hell of a different performance from what we had on Saturday. But yeah, the rest of it, I think the only sort of downside for us really is Hayden, who, again, has anyone, Tim, have you got any sort of info about?
No, I mean, I'll have a look now, but I mean, you got to feel sorry for him. There was some mention. I can't remember. It was in a WhatsApp group. I don't know, but there's some mention. Is like, you know, is it like a mental thing? Is it really as bad? Aaron Hayden ain't gonna pull a bullshit over an injury. He's just simply having bad luck. Like, you know, Rob Layton amount of bad luck in that he comes back. He looks good. Looks really good. You know, gets amongst the goals, and lo and behold, he has to go off. I have no idea what the prognosis is. I haven't seen any updates about it.
Something Rich Williams has done a piece. So it's expected to be short term rather than long term, weeks rather than months, basically. So he's not expected to be out long term.
But then we've got Tunnicliffe. We've got defenders in abundance, really. I mean, I know Cleworth got a little bit of heat, I think, unfairly for the Doncaster goal. You know, it's got a bit loose. There's still 4 or 5 bodies between that player and the back of the net before it goes in. So collectively, they dawdled. Yes, it's come from him as an error, but please, let's not get on the backs of our own players, particularly those that have come through the system.
Yeah, and at the end of the day, it's not like non-league where if we don't win or we draw a match, it's the end of the bloody world. Look, there's 4 promotion places here. It's a very tight league. Everyone will beat everyone. And, you know, just because we don't win a game doesn't mean we're out the title race or anything like it might have done in non-league. There's a bit more breathing space here. So, you know, let's be a bit calmer about things, especially at the start of the season.
You know, we've lost one. We've lost one so far, right? We've acquitted ourselves to the division pretty well, I would say.
I think so.
And even in the games where we've been outscored, obviously Milton Keynes, Dons ones is the obvious one. We still are hard to beat or hard to shake. So if you're going to come, we're going to score 3 or 4. You better score 5. You know, the whole Swindon game was mental. They score 5. They still only escaped with a point. So that there is that consistent aspect that we still have that winning mentality and that desire to uphold the values and beliefs of the club and give everything. And Parky's gone on record before, like if you're gonna pull on that shirt, you will give everything, 110%. And if teams are going to come and get anything, they're going to have played better than us. It's as simple as that, which they did on the day.
Yeah. Let's talk about that squad then. Obviously McAlinden got a place. McFadden didn't. Hosanna didn't, which sort of surprised me when I first saw it, because I thought, he can play in a number of positions. They've even been trying him out at centre half, but again, he's always seems to be blighted by injuries, doesn't he? And you do sort of think, unless he can really turn it round in the back end of the season, could his time sort of be coming to an end at Wrexham? Any other shocks for you? People who did or didn't make it? Waters, is that a shame, Liam?
It's not a shock. I was half expecting it, because I just had this sense that Parkinson doesn't particularly rate him for whatever reason. But I do think it's not strange, but I can see why he was brought in, because I think there was this worry that, Mullin could potentially be out and we would be left without, a backup striker. But you bring him in on a decent wedge, supposedly on a good contract. We get promoted, and then suddenly just seemingly not interested in him at all. I'm quite surprised by that. I think just feels a bit, how much have we really seen of Billy Waters? I know everyone's saying he can't score, etc., but I wouldn't say I've seen enough of him to know whether he can or not.
Also, I think for me that it wasn't bringing Waters in. I think it was bringing him in on a 3-year deal or wherever it was. I mean, that seems a hell of a long time for a player that you're looking for as a stopgap. I don't know if that's the only way he would come to us, if he got that length of deal. Look, I watched the Newcastle game. Yeah, he snatched at that chance. It was a bad miss, but the lad ran his socks off and he got a standing ovation at the end, because you know what Wrexham fans are like. They absolutely applaud effort. The lad puts effort in. But I think he's a victim of the fact that Parky wanted something a little bit different up front, and Mullin was fit again, so he plumped for Fletcher instead. Tim, squad more or less how you would have picked it?
Yeah, I think so. No great shocks for me, really. I feel a bit sorry for McFadden, because I think on his debut we sponsored the game, the FA Trophy game. We named him man of the match. We thought he was really good, decent. Point to prove. Came from Crewe. Obviously, Sunderland fans think he's the worst left back they've ever had.
Yeah, but Plymouth fans love him.
It's a weird thing. I feel sorry for him, and I think Parker's even said he's just been unfortunate in the sense that we've gone out and got better players in that position. That's just the fact now with McLean and Mendy. Hosanna, one of those really. I can't think of a memorable game he's had, so that tells its own story. He scored one goal for us, I think, maybe two. There's definitely one goal away somewhere. Again, just never really sort of hit a run of form, and injuries blighted him. And then the Waters thing, his last chance was the Newcastle game. He kind of didn't take it, blazed one over, probably felt the pressure of that. It didn't quite work out for him, but those three players are not bad players, and if they do end up leaving in due course, they will get fixed up fairly easily, I would imagine and hope. So, but I believe I've not read the entire rules of it, but I believe they are still eligible to play in our cup games, apparently.
Well, McFadden played in a reserve match, so he is still keeping himself fit, and Waters played.
Yeah.
I mean, and Waters scored in that reserve game as well. I think we got hammered. Was it 4-1 back in the reserves? Strong team. So I was quite surprised by that result. Decent lineup. Tunnicliffe, McNicholas.
I'm not going to lose sleep over it. I'm going to be honest.
No, I don't think you would. Also, whilst we mention it, the trailer for episode 2 of season 2 has just dropped. Looks like it's heavily featured around Mullin and Millie tipping, and Paul Mullin. I think there's going to be the whole autism quiet zone at the football club theme around that. Obviously, Millie has that. I'll be Paul Mullin's son has autism as well. So, good character development one, and it'll be interesting to see that. Looking forward to that one.
Yeah, I don't want to big our own trumpet up here, but I think we should sort of say that after our live event, we've given a bit of money to charity from the charity draw. So we've given some cash to Your Space, which is the Paul Mullin-backed autism charity in Wrexham. We've given some money to Wrexham Food Bank, and we've given some money to British Heart Foundation as well. And yeah, just because, well, they're all charities quite close to us, and if we can help out with a couple £100 here and there, we will. But anyway, let's gloss over that because we don't want to talk about our charity work, mate. That must smash you nicely for any Americans. Look them up.
Yeah, man, so many cultural references in this episode.
I know. Okay, can I finish on a whiskey review?
Oh, you haven't done it.
Well, no, I haven't got any of it, have I yet? It's still
yours.
Right.
Wow. Just another hint. Not my fault you chose to give yours away.
Well, I gave mine away to Reese, who was one of our fellow podcasters.
Who's Reese?
Anyway,
look, never had him on there anymore.
I did get a bottle, and I gave it to my friend James, who's going through a bit of a tough time at the moment, but absolutely loves his whiskey. And this is a review. Now, before I read this, remember that James does work in PR, so he's written a proper good spiel. This is the sort of thing that Rob could have on the back of the packaging.
Just to set this up and for context, in case anybody forgot, Andy and Liam decided to practically beg for free whiskey.
And you're rewriting history here.
I'm not rewriting history. This is a fact. Let's be factual about it. So our wonderful co-owner Rob McElhenney sent some whiskey over, which I took stock of that whiskey. I hope the rest of it hasn't fermented in this recent hot spell of weather we've had. But anyway, I digress. Some of the whiskey was given away in prize draws. We've kept some back for other ventures as well, and obviously a couple of the guys here have had bottles of whiskey, including Mr. Gilpin.
Yeah, so I gave mine to James because he loves his whiskey. This is a review. The Irish-American whiskey hybrid is as complex as it is memorable. Wow, you can tell he works in PR, can't you? Triple distilled, like all good Irish whiskies, Four Walls is a marriage of classic grain whiskey and rye, which gives its dram a unique taste. With a rich, creamy vanilla and spicy rye aroma, the taste of rich caramel and gingerbread hits you like a crunching tattle from, he says, insert hard Wrexham player here. So I'm gonna go Luke Young. From a crunching tattle from Luke Young and a long sweet finish, much like Mullins. He says insert a goal that Mullins scored, which was good. So I'm gonna go for and a sweet finish, much like Mullins' strike against Stockport County in the semi-final of the FA Trophy. If you like Irish whiskey with a statement taste, grab yourself a bottle of Four Walls. I think James likes it. Is what I'm. I got a couple of texts while he was drinking it. As they went through, they made less and less sense. But I think he was enjoying the bottle.
The whiskey coming is what we're saying.
No, we're not saying that, Liam. Liam, we're not saying that. We're saying thank you, Rob, for sending some whiskey. My mate who loves whiskey has tasted it and he really likes it.
I wish that I knew that review was coming beforehand. I would have set that up nicely with some nice, relaxing lift music in the background. In the absence of I like to move it, we could have done some nice lift music. Also, I'm still awaiting my free Stoke cold coffee brew, which I believe Liam Randall has snaffled away from me somewhere. But if you're listening, Stoke cold coffee people, please send some because I still believe you still can't get it in Wrexham unless somebody can tell me otherwise. I don't know.
Well, you just have to go around Liam's house to get it.
I saw
him just pouring it away outside his kitchen window.
Anyway,
Tim.
Let's wind down this capitalist episode of today's podcast. It's just
right. We need predictions. Right. What are we going to do to those Lincolnshire fellows, Grimsby? Tim, do you want to go first?
I think we will give those Lincolnshire fellows featuring Luke Waterfall and Rekeel Bakeel Pike a lovely 3-0 thumping. I don't know why I turned to Sean Harvey then. 3-0 thumping.
Face on him.
And I just think it'll be nice to get one over them for a bit of revenge after that horrible playoff eliminator ending. 3-0. Fletcher amongst the goals. Thank you.
Liam?
Good golly, I think we're going to stick it to those fishy folk By Jove, I'm going to go for 3-1 to Wrexham.
Right. I was on a Grimsby podcast on Sunday, and they absolutely are infatuated with Paul Mullin and his diving. Is it because? Yeah, I know. Don't worry. I'm not having Paul Mullin's honour besmirched on a Mariners podcast, so I stood up for him. Unlike him, who keeps falling down. Hey. Look, 2-0. I think we're in the groove a little bit. I think a packed race course. I think that Fletcher's going to have a say in this one as well. One last thing on that, though. Let's quick straw poll before we go. Liam, would you start Mullin from the start?
No, ease him back in.
Tim?
Absolutely not. Nowhere near. Keep him nicely ready for Stockport, where he'll play more minutes and get the winner. That'd be great.
I'll have the same amount of minutes as he got against Doncaster, but there'll be more quality half hour than what he gave against Doncaster, because he looked rusty. But it was good to get those minutes in his legs. Right. With that, we should bid you good day. So it's goodbye from me.
It's
Farewell,
goodbye from
fellows.
Farewell, good fellows. Go forth, and we will see you soon.
You got anything to add to that? Oh, a wave. All right. Okay. It's good night from the Babe Station studios. All right. See you, everyone. Bye-bye.
Bye.